The UNHS Compassion cut through the darkness of space like a blade of hope, its pristine white hull emblazoned with the crimson medical cross visible from 3 systems away. A hospital ship, Earth's largest and most technologically advanced, represented humanity's proudest achievement, the transition from warriors to healers. Captain Alina Reyes stood motionless before the panoramic viewport on the observation deck, her reflection ghosted against the stars beyond. The cybernetic implant that replaced her left eye pulsed with a soft blue glow as it automatically analyzed incoming telemetry. She rarely spoke of how she'd lost the original, an incident during the border skirmishes that had convinced her to trade her military commission for medical administration. "Captain, final preparations are complete." Dr. Amit Singh approached from behind, his footsteps whisper quiet on the polished deck. As chief medical officer, he commanded the 3,000 medical professionals aboard, each specialist chosen from the best Earth had to offer. All treatment modules are calibrated for Proxima Centauri physiology variants. Alina nodded without turning. And the Jarkul diplomatic response? Singh's reflection frowned. Still unconfirmed. They acknowledge our arrival in system, but haven't provided landing coordinates for the primary colony sites. They will, Alina replied, memories of battlefield triage flickering unwanted through her mind. She had seen the casualty reports from the Proxima colonies, civilians caught in crossfire between Jarkul expansion forces and local resistance. They need us too badly to turn us away. The vast ship continued its stately approach to the conflict zone. Below decks, medical personnel performed final calibrations on equipment designed to treat a dozen different species. Regeneration tanks hummed with nutrient solutions. Surgical robots stood at attention, their precision instruments capable of repairing cellular damage at the molecular level. "Captain," a young communications officer appeared at the entrance to the observation deck. Lieutenant Maya Wong looked troubled, her uniform crisp but her expression disturbed. "We've intercepted an encrypted transmission on a Jarkul military frequency. It was partially degraded, but—" "Play it," Alina ordered, her military instincts stirring. A fragmented voice crackled through the speaker. "Compassion's arrival presents an opportunity we cannot." Static consumed the rest. Alina's artificial eye narrowed, focusing with machine precision. "Run a full scan of the approach corridor. Activate passive defense systems, but keep them on standby only." "Mom," Wong questioned, "we're a hospital ship, and I intend for us to remain one." Alina replied evenly. "But caution has kept me alive through 2 wars I wasn't supposed to survive." Dr. Singh moved closer, lowering his voice. "The Confederation assured us safe passage. All parties signed the medical neutrality agreement." Alina turned from the viewport at last, the stars behind her like a field of distant watchful eyes. "Then we have nothing to worry about." Deep within the Compassion's secure vault, technologies Earth had never shared with the wider galaxy lay in readiness, cellular reconstructors and trauma stabilizers developed during humanity's last war. The same ingenuity that had once created weapons had been redirected towards saving lives. It was humanity's greatest achievement, and its most carefully guarded secret. As the ship breached the edge of the conflict zone, Alina received confirmation of their approach vector. A sense of unease settled over her that no amount of diplomatic assurances could dispel. 20 years of peace had not erased 3 decades of combat instincts. "Begin our approach," she ordered, straightening her white medical uniform with its subtle gold captain's insignia. "And Lieutenant Wong, keep monitoring those Jarkul frequencies. I want to know if they say anything else about opportunities." The great hospital ship glided forward, a beacon of mercy about to enter the darkness of war. The first plasma torpedoes struck without warning. One moment, the UNHS Compassion was gliding peacefully toward the designated neutral zone, its communication array broadcasting its humanitarian status on all frequencies. The next, the ship shuddered violently as energy washed across its hull, overloading systems never designed for combat. "Multiple contacts," Lieutenant Wong shouted over the sudden blare of emergency sirens. 3 Zarkol warships decloaking to port. Captain Alina Rice's military training surged to the forefront as she sprinted to the command console. Her cybernetic eye rapidly processed the tactical display while her human eye widened in disbelief. "This can't be happening," Dr. Singh gasped as the deck lurched beneath them. "We're clearly marked. They can't mistake what we are." The second torpedo tore through the Compassion's minimal defensive screens like tissue paper, shearing away a portion of the port medical wing. Through viewport windows, personnel watched in horror as emergency pods carrying wounded staff were specifically targeted by Zarkol interceptors, detonating in silent bursts of light and debris. "Redirect auxiliary power to shield generators covering patient wards," Elena ordered, muscle memory from her combat days taking over. "Priority evacuation protocol for medical personnel in sections 3 through 7. The ship's superstructure groaned as Elena fought to keep the vessel intact. A support beam crashed down meters away, crushing a console. She dragged a wounded nurse clear of sparking equipment, her uniform now stained with blood both human and alien. "The patients," Dr. Singh began, clutching a laceration on his forehead. "We're doing everything we can." Elena cut him off, her tone leaving no room for despair. "Get to emergency triage. They'll need you." On the fractured bridge screen, a Zarkol face materialized, mandibles clicking in what humans had learned was their expression of contempt. The alien commander's carapace gleamed with military decorations. "Humans have no place in our affairs," he stated flatly before terminating the transmission. As Elena fought to stabilize life support, Dr. Singh made a horrifying discovery in the medical lab. Analysis of residual radiation from the Zarkol weapons showed they contained isotopes specifically calibrated to target human DNA while leaving other species unharmed. "This wasn't opportunistic," he whispered, showing Elena the results. "They designed these weapons specifically to kill humans. This attack was planned." The Compassion listed helplessly, its massive medical bays, once pristine monuments to healing, now charnel houses of twisted metal and emergency lighting. In the central ward, medical staff worked desperately to stabilize patients of 6 different species, their own injuries ignored in favor of their oath to heal. Elena made her way to the communications array, forcing open manual access panels as automated systems failed around her. Blood trickled from a gash above her natural eye, but her cybernetic one remained coldly functional, recording everything. With shaking hands, she activated the emergency quantum transmitter, designed to cut through any interference, and recorded Earth's only warning. "UNHS Compassion to Earth Command. We are under direct attack by Zarkol military forces. This was not a mistake. I repeat, this was a deliberate, targeted assault on a clearly marked hospital vessel." She paused, then added one critical piece of information only those with military clearance would understand. "Protocol Dormant Sword is now active." As she sent the transmission, the bridge doors slid open. Dr. Singh stood there, a medical kit clutched in bloodied hands, determination etched into his features. "The Confederation must know about this," he said. "This violates every medical neutrality treaty in existence." Elena's voice was steel as she watched the Zarkol vessels moving into position for a final attack run. "The Confederation will know," she answered quietly. "And so will Earth." The United Earth Government chamber fell into absolute silence as the Compassion's distress call ended. The screams of dying medical personnel gave way to static. Then nothing. 5,000 diplomats, representatives, and military advisors from 194 nations and 27 colonies sat motionless in the vast amphitheater, expressions frozen in horror. Chancellor Amara Williams rose slowly from her seat at the center of the assembly. Her dark eyes, usually warm with diplomatic charm, had hardened to obsidian. "For 50 years, she began, her voice carrying to every corner without amplification. "We have been the galaxy's healers. We buried our weapons. We turned warships into hospitals." She gestured to the alien ambassadors present. Representatives of 12 species who had expected this emergency session to produce strongly worded condemnations and economic sanctions at most. Our neighbors came to see us as the gentle hands that mend, never the fist that strikes. Across Earth, citizens gathered around public view screens as the emergency broadcast continued. In homes, workplaces, and public squares, billions watched in stunned disbelief as the recording of the attack played again. The merciless targeting of evacuation pods, the radiation signatures specifically calibrated for human DNA. The Galactic Confederation representatives shifted uncomfortably in their designated seats, already preparing statements of condolence and promises of diplomatic intervention. Instead, Admiral Marcus Chen stepped to the podium. His weathered face bore scars from Earth's last war, physical reminders of the conflict that had prompted humanity's turn toward healing rather than harm. His service uniform, unworn for decades, still fit perfectly. Today, he announced, his voice like gravel across stone, we awaken what we promised ourselves would remain dormant. The chamber erupted in murmurs, then fell silent again as screens throughout the room switched to a live feed from the Mariana Trench, Earth's deepest ocean point. What had been officially designated as a deep-sea research facility suddenly revealed its true purpose as massive bay doors ground open along the ocean floor, releasing bubbles of displaced air toward the surface kilometers above. Inside the underwater installation, row after row of ships illuminated, destroyers, dreadnoughts, and swift corvettes. One by one, their running lights activated, power signatures surging as weapon systems calibrated themselves with mechanical precision. 174 warships, Admiral Chen continued as the chamber descended into pandemonium. Maintained in secret since the Treaty of Arcturus by crews sworn to silence, each one equipped with technologies we developed but never deployed. Similar scenes played out across the solar system. On Mars, what appeared to be mining operations revealed themselves as disguised shipyards. In the asteroid belt, hollow rocks opened to release vessels with predatory silhouettes. The alien ambassadors watched in growing horror as the truth became undeniable. Humanity had never disarmed. They had simply hidden their teeth while showing only their smile. The Jarkal believe they have killed unarmed healers. Chen continued, his voice cutting through the chaos. They will learn that every medical advance we shared with the galaxy has a counterpart, technologies we developed in case this day ever came. Chancellor Williams returned to the podium, placing a hand on the Admiral's shoulder. We chose peace, she told the assembly as ships began rising from oceans worldwide, water cascading from hulls designed for both space and atmosphere. The Jarkal have chosen otherwise. The chamber screens showed the first vessels already exiting Earth's atmosphere, forming into battle groups with the precision of a surgeon's instruments. Protocol dormant sword, Admiral Chen said quietly to the stunned assemblage, is now active. Commander Sarah Nomura stood motionless before the UES Retribution, her reflection distorted in the dreadnought's gleaming hull. For 20 years, tourists had wandered through its corridors, marveling at what they believed was a decommissioned relic of humanity's warlike past. Now, engineers swarmed across its exterior, removing decorative exhibition placards as weapon systems hummed to life beneath. When I put this uniform in storage, I thought it was for good, remarked her executive officer, Kai Levinson, sliding his arm into the sleeve of a military jacket that had been waiting in a sealed locker for decades. The dark gray fabric with subtle red piping contrasted sharply with the medical whites and research blues that had dominated human fashion for a generation. We all did, Sarah replied, her fingers tracing the ship's designation on the hull. That was the point. Across Earth, similar scenes unfolded as dormant military installations activated beneath universities, hospitals, and cultural centers. Veterans received activation codes on devices disguised as medical implants, the signals pulling them from retirement communities, research laboratories, and teaching positions. On the Retribution's bridge, technicians removed false panels to reveal pristine tactical systems. The ship's AI, masked as a historical exhibition guide, reactivated with all combat protocols intact. Weapons status. Sarah asked as she settled into the commander's chair, ergonomically designed to support a human frame during high-G maneuvers. All systems operational, Commander, replied the tactical officer, a woman who had posed as a museum curator for 18 years. Kinetic lances at full capacity. Graviton shields calibrated. Through the main viewport, Sarah watched as the rest of the fleet assembled in high Earth orbit. Ships of every class, from nimble corvettes to massive carriers, moved into formation with practiced precision. Some bore the scars of previous conflicts, carefully preserved beneath cosmetic coverings now stripped away. In the Galactic Confederation Council chamber, the Jarkul ambassador pounded his chitinous fist on the speaking podium, mandibles clicking in agitation. This is deception on an unprecedented scale, he shouted to the assembled delegates. Humans claim to have abandoned militarism generations ago. Their medical knowledge came from centuries of treating our own war wounds, interrupted a holographic figure that materialized at the center of the chamber. Captain Elena Reyes, her face partially bandaged, but her remaining eye burning with controlled fury, addressed the Confederation from a recovery pod. The precision that makes us master surgeons is the same precision that once guided our weapons. On the Retribution, final preparations concluded as Sarah reviewed tactical data on the Jarkul fleet. Earth intelligence had never truly ceased monitoring potential threats, gathering information under the guise of medical and cultural exchange programs. It appears the Jarkul have 17 battle groups scattered across 3 sectors. Kai reported, studying the holographic display. Their primary fleet concentration is at their homeworld. Sarah nodded, processing the information with the same methodical efficiency that had made her a renowned xenobiologist in her civilian identity. And the compassion. Adrift near the Proxima Centauri neutral zone. Rescue vessels are en route, but there are few survivors. Sarah's expression hardened. Throughout the ship, crew members prepared for departure. Medical researchers revealing themselves as weapons specialists. Cultural attaches stepping back into roles as tactical officers. Diplomats reclaiming commands they had set aside decades ago. Begin undocking procedures, she ordered, her voice carrying across the bridge. Set course for Jarkul territory. As the dreadnought pulled away from Earth's orbit, neighboring species recalled human military artifacts they'd dismissed as cultural curiosities. Ancient samurai codes of honor, the preserved fighting techniques of 100 cultures, the military academies maintained as historical preservation sites. The Retribution accelerated toward the hyperspace threshold, its massive engines flaring blue against the blackness of space. The war fleet exited hyperspace at the edge of Jarkul territory, materializing like predators at the periphery of their hunting ground. 174 warships, arranged in perfect formation, their hulls still bearing the faded symbols of medical and research missions that had served as their cover for decades. Stealth systems engage, Kai reported on the Retribution's bridge. Jarkul detection grid registering only background radiation. Commander Nomura studied the tactical display showing their first target, a monitoring outpost that intelligence indicated had tracked the Compassion's approach before the attack. The facility orbited a small moon, its spider-like architecture reflecting the Jarkul's evolutionary heritage. Prepare strike team, she ordered. I'll lead personally. 30 minutes later, Sarah stood in the shuttle bay, encased in a combat exoskeleton that amplified her movements and strength. The suit, powered by the same technology that drove surgical micromanipulators, was a visceral reminder of how humanity had repurposed its medical advances. Remember, she subvocalized to her team as their stealth shuttle approached the outpost. Precision strikes only. We need their data core intact. Through her tactical visor, Sarah observed Jarkul guards patrolling the outpost's perimeter. Their chitinous exoskeletons gleamed in the harsh light, natural armor that had evolved over millions of years. The aliens had positioned their strongest warriors at the entrance, confident in their species' natural advantages. Intelligence reports from Earth's hidden monitoring systems had shown that the Jarkol categorized humans as physically inferior, dismissing them as a species that relied on technology rather than evolutionary adaptation. It was time to demonstrate how dangerously wrong that assessment had been. "Execute," Sarah commanded. The first guard had milliseconds to register surprise as human operatives and combat exoskeletons moved with terrifying speed and coordination. His mandibles clicked in alarm, but the sound died as Sarah's augmented strength pierced his natural armor with surgical precision. Inside the command center, Sarah bypassed the outpost's defenses using techniques developed by hospital AI systems to navigate cellular structures. The Jarkol command staff froze in shocked disbelief as humans breached their supposedly impenetrable systems, moving with the efficiency of a well-practiced medical team performing emergency surgery. When Sarah reached the data core, she interfaced directly with it, her neural implants, ostensibly developed for medical diagnosis, extracting information faster than any conventional download. Confirmation. She transmitted to Admiral Chen. The attack was ordered directly by Jarkol High Command. I'm sending tactical data now. The recording played in crystal clarity. Jarkol leaders explicitly ordering the hospital ship's destruction, discussing how eliminating human medical personnel would weaken Earth's influence while testing human resolve. They believed we wouldn't respond with force, Sarah noted as her team secured the facility. They thought our transformation to healers was complete. Aboard the Judicator, Admiral Chen received the transmission with grim satisfaction. On his command screen, the faces of 27 ship commanders awaited his orders. "The evidence is conclusive," he announced. "Broadcast the following message on all Jarkol frequencies. You have 12 hours to surrender those responsible for the Compassion attack and provide full reparations. After that, we will extract justice ourselves." In Jarkol war chambers, panic spread as reports arrived describing human strike teams neutralizing outposts with zero collateral damage. The precision of the human attacks revealed something the Jarkol had failed to understand. Humanity's military potential had never diminished. It had simply been channeled into other pursuits, waiting to be redirected. The countdown began. When the 12-hour deadline expired without response, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Judicator, expression grim as status reports filtered in from across the fleet. "The Jarkol have reinforced their defensive positions," Tactical Officer Lin reported. "Their entire home fleet has mobilized." Chen nodded, unsurprised. They still believe they're facing the remnants of a pacifist civilization. He opened a channel to all Earth vessels. "Begin the procedure." Rather than the indiscriminate planetary bombardment the Jarkol had prepared for, the war fleet split into surgical strike teams. Vessels that had once been hospital ships now deployed weapons designed with the same precision used in operating rooms. On the Retribution, Commander Nomura, coordinated with Captain Elena Reyes, now recovered enough to serve as tactical advisor from the medical frigate Asclepius. "Their primary shipyards are located here," Elena explained, her cybernetic eye interfacing directly with the tactical display. Her years treating Jarkol patients had given her intimate knowledge of their physiology, and by extension, their military infrastructure. Like their bodies, their installations have redundant systems, but the tertiary power nodes remain vulnerable. Nomura studied the holographic model. "The same flaw as in their circulatory system." "Exactly," Elena confirmed. "The same scans that showed us how to heal them showed us how to hurt them." On the Jarkol command carrier Inevitable Dominance, General Vexnar watched in disbelief as human forces breached defensive lines his strategists had declared impenetrable. Targeting data showed human weapons striking with impossible precision, neutralizing military installations while avoiding civilian centers. "How are they moving like they've studied our anatomy?" he hissed to his subordinates, mandibles clicking in agitation. The answer came as the Retribution's strike force disabled his flagship's engines without destroying the vessel. Within minutes, human boarding parties cut through hull sections, bypassing major choke points to head directly for the command center. Vexnar prepared for death as the humans breached the final doorway, but instead found himself confronted by soldiers who moved with medical precision. "Surrender your vessel," Commander Nomura stated simply, her combat exoskeleton humming with contained power. "No further harm will come to your crew." Across the engagement zone, the galaxy watched through intercepted feeds as humanity demonstrated that their caregiving nature extended even to warfare. Human forces paused advances to evacuate civilian structures before neutralizing military targets. Medical teams deployed alongside combat units, treating wounded of all species. Most shocking to the Zarkul, captured enemy combatants received treatment according to universal medical protocols the humans had authored generations ago. In a field hospital established on the captured inevitable dominance, Vexnar watched in confusion as human doctors stabilized his wounded officers with the same care they would show their own. "Why treat us at all?" he demanded as Elena Reyes personally oversaw his treatment. "After what we did to your hospital ship." "Because that's the difference between us," she replied, administering pain relief despite his protests. "You attacked healers. We never stopped being healers. We just remembered how to fight as well." From the bridge of the Judicator, Admiral Chen watched as the Zarkul defense grid collapsed section by section. Human forces advanced with methodical efficiency, their attacks so precisely targeted that civilian casualties remained near zero. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Phase 1 complete. Beginning approach to the Zarkul homeworld." The message that returned from Chancellor Williams was succinct. "Remember who we are." Chen nodded solemnly. Even in war, humanity would not abandon the principles that had defined their 50 years of peace. They would fight with surgical precision, and they would heal even those who had shown no mercy. The human fleet advanced toward the Zarkul homeworld, a blue-green jewel orbiting a yellow star not unlike Earth's sun. From his command center in the capital city, Supreme Commander Vorkesh watched the tactical displays with growing horror as defensive positions fell one after another. "How is this possible?" he demanded, his exoskeleton plates clicking with agitation. "These are the same humans who pleaded for peace at every Confederation Council, the same species who sent doctors instead of soldiers to every conflict zone." His intelligence chief trembled visibly. "We may have fundamentally misunderstood them, Supreme Commander." As the human vessels entered orbit, Admiral Chen offered one final opportunity for surrender. The message was simple: yield those responsible for the hospital ship attack and accept occupation of military installations. Civilian governance would remain untouched. Vorkesh's mandibles clacked in what passed for laughter among his kind. They still show weakness, offering terms when victory is within their grasp. He turned to his weapons master. "Deploy the final contingency." From hidden silos across the Zarkul homeworld, missiles launched toward the human fleet, each carrying biological agents specifically engineered to target human neural systems. "Let them heal this," Vorkesh snarled as launch confirmations appeared on his console. Aboard the Retribution, sensors detected the biological payload seconds after launch. Without hesitation, Commander Nomura activated countermeasures that humanity had developed during Earth's darker history. Defense systems created to fight plagues that they had kept ready but hoped never to use. "Neutralizing bioweapons," reported the tactical officer as specialized drones intercepted the missiles, bathing them in targeted radiation that rendered the pathogens inert. "They've broken the Galactic conventions on biological warfare," Kai noted grimly. Sarah's expression hardened behind her visor. "Prepare the assault team. We're taking the command center." Her combat suit's medical sensors monitored her vital signs as she led the final assault, adjusting target displays to compensate for elevated adrenaline, another dual-purpose technology born from humanity's medical research. Fighting through the layered defenses of the Zarkul capital, Sarah's team encountered fierce resistance. The aliens fought with the desperation of those who had committed an unforgivable act and now faced judgment. When they finally breached the central archive, adjacent to Vorkesh's command center, Sarah discovered the full truth. Holographic recordings showed the Zarkul leadership meticulously planning the hospital ship attack months before it occurred. The humans must be eliminated before they realize their potential threat to our expansion. Vorkesh's voice echoed from the recording. Their transition to healers has weakened them. Strike now, while they have forgotten how to fight. They fundamentally misunderstood us, Sarah transmitted to Admiral Chen as her team secured Vorkesh. The Zarkul leader's mandibles drooped in surrender as humans entered his inner sanctum. They thought our commitment to healing represented weakness. Chen's weathered face appeared on her HUD. It represented choice, he corrected her. And now they understand the alternative. The assault team found something else in the archives. Detailed plans for attacks on other human outposts, medical stations, and research facilities. The hospital ship had only been the beginning. This wasn't opportunism, Sarah reported. It was the first step in a planned genocide. As Sarah secured the Zarkul capital, captured bioweapon facilities revealed an even darker truth. The pathogens launched against the human fleet were merely prototypes. The Zarkul had been developing more lethal variants, specifically designed to wipe out humanity, while leaving other species unaffected. The choice that had driven humans to become healers now confronted them again. What justice could answer such calculated malice? The Galactic Confederation Grand Chamber fell silent as Admiral Chen and Captain Rice took the central podium. 2 weeks had passed since the fall of the Zarkul capital, and representatives from 100 worlds had gathered to witness what many feared would be the announcement of a new galactic order, one dominated by a humanity that had revealed itself to be far more formidable than anyone had suspected. Before them knelt the surviving Zarkul leadership, their once proud postures now subdued. Supreme Commander Vorkesh's mandibles hung limp, the fight gone from his frame. Chancellor Amara Williams entered last, her formal attire neither military nor medical, but a simple garment that spoke of civilian governance. The assembled delegates watched her closely, expecting demands for territories, resources, or punitive damages that would cripple the Zarkul for generations. Humanity has deliberated on the terms of peace, Admiral Chen announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. Alina Reyes stepped forward, her uniform bearing both military insignia and the medical symbol of the compassion. The cybernetic eye that had recorded the initial attack now surveyed the assembled dignitaries. "We demand justice for those who ordered the attack on our hospital ship," she stated, her tone unwavering. "The architects of genocide will stand trial according to Confederation law." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "Additionally," she continued, "we require funding to build 3 new hospital ships, each twice the size of the one you destroyed." The Confederation Arbiter, a member of the ancient Thalasian species, leaned forward in confusion. "That is all?" he asked, mandibles clicking in disbelief. "We did not go to war for conquest," Admiral Chen replied, his weathered face solemn. "We went to war because you attacked those who came to heal. The punishment must fit the crime, no more, no less." Chancellor Williams raised her hand for silence as the chamber erupted in astonished discussion. "Humanity remembers what it means to lose ourselves in retribution," she said. "We nearly destroyed our own world once, before we learned that the greatest victory lies not in domination, but in remaining true to one's better nature even when provoked." 1 solar year later, the UNHS Forgiveness launched from Earth's orbital shipyard, twice the size of the Compassion. Its massive white hull gleamed against the blackness of space, the medical insignia prominently displayed on every side. Commander Sarah Nomura, now wearing the blue uniform of ship security rather than military gray, escorted a delegation of alien dignitaries through corridors bustling with medical personnel from 24 species, including, remarkably, several Zarkul doctors who had opposed their government's actions. They paused before a memorial displaying holographic images of the medical staff lost in the attack on the Compassion. Beside it hung a decommissioned weapon from the UES Retribution, its power core removed and replaced with a perpetual light. A young Zarkul diplomat, part of the new government, read the inscription aloud. We heal because we know wounds. We make peace because we know war. Cross neither line. Do you truly forgive us? He asked Sarah, his voice carrying the harmonics of genuine remorse. Sarah studied him for a moment before answering. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, she explained. It's choosing a different path forward while remembering where you've been. She gestured toward the ship's medical bay, where human and alien medical staff trained together, sharing knowledge that would save lives across the galaxy. That's the most human thing of all.